Thank you for clicking Dr. Samurai Minute Lecture. This video of Critical Race Theory Lecture, I would like to introduce what critical race theory really is in very simple words, and why such theory was created. What are some of the opposition ideas to the critical race theory? And I would like to further extend this critical race theory lecture further up to something higher. My name is Dr. Samurai. I'm a professor specialized in international social pathology, which studies social illness that are seen internationally. Critical race theory lecture. What is critical race theory? The idea that racism is systemic in the United States through laws, policies, regulations, and even court decisions. And it is not individual bias or prejudice. Critical race theory advocates racism is legal, social, and political, not individual or biological. And it also considers social or legal constructions such as civil rights legislations actually advances the interests of white people at the expense of people of color. And one of the major advocates, Dr. Derek Bell Jr. of Harvard University, implies this critical race theory was formed partly due to the limits which civil rights lawyers confront serving colored people's legal issues. Dr. Derek Bell was responding to the Supreme Court decisions that had resulted in resegregation of schools. And as opposed to this critical race theory, some opponents, such as senior fellow at Manhattan Institute, Christopher Rufo, says critical race theory is a kind of cult indoctrination that reduces people to a network of racial, gender, and sexual orientation identities, which divides people either an oppressor or the oppressed. Since this theory has pervaded every aspect of the federal government today, the critical race theory now poses an existential threat to the United States, and it is clearly anti-American. So now, by intentionally misusing the term to conflate left-wing race-related ideas, he is trying to associate all the race-related ideas with negative connotations, something toxic, and cultural insanities. And he has been somewhat successful in doing that, while he also opposed to the idea of LGBTQ education, claiming that public teachers are pedophiles. Oh, if you like this kind of discussions, please click that green and yellow good luck charm logo. This is pretty much what critical race theory is, and what are some of the typical ideas opposing that. And now, I would like to extend this critical race theory lecture to something larger. As an international social pathologist, I consider that Putin's invasion into Russia is happening due to a certain necessity of where our human civilization is at. Right before the world faced this Russian invasion into Ukraine, the world has been focusing on coronavirus epidemic and also environmental distractions such as global warming, led by Ms. Greta Thunberg, as you know it very well. I do not think this invasion into Ukraine is completely independent of the environmental distractions we are facing today. I am convinced we are facing the global warming because human beings intentionally chose to separate themselves from nature, which is best represented by animals who can move like us human beings. When human beings started to settle in a geographically advantageous area of Mesopotamian area in order to support an unexpected number of people settling in that region, human beings, especially the ancestors of white people, started to reach their hands to animals as their foods. And it is at that point that human civilization became dissociated from animal kingdoms, the very representative of nature and the natural world, to periodically kill those animals such as sheep who trusted their lives on human beings. Those ancestors betrayed them by keeping clear distance from those animals they eat. And that is the start of the separation between human civilization and animal and natural world. And in short, it leads us to today's environmental distractions, including global warming. Because to be frank, today's human beings and human civilization do not care about nature and animals. They believe those two exist to make human beings happy, as the Bible teaches us. So this separation from and betrayal and expanding of animals also led the human lifestyle to something parasitic on animals and nature. That's when we revoked our self-sufficient way of lifestyle and started to invade into animals and nature. And here we are witnessing the same template of invasion into those who are weaker, such as Ukraine. And all these negative incidents that we are facing today were pointed out by books and movies such as Unnatural Order by Jim Mason and Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. So, what I meant here by saying the extension of critical race theory lecture is critical race theory is only a part of the same pattern we are doing to nature. As the ancestors manipulated and took advantage of the animals who they knew but ignored having the same emotions as us human beings. The later ancestors betrayed Native American people and plundered their land in spite of their generous support for the ancestors' survival. And the same thing happened with the African American people, those who were living closer to nature, as African people were considered primitive, savage, and less intelligent. And the ancestors took them over to faraway land to make them serve them for the labors which they could fully take care of by themselves. Here we see the same kind of betrayal, invasion, and parasitic lifestyle. So what I suggest here as an international social pathologist is all those racial discrimination which caused such actions as Black Lives Matter is only one example of the same original pattern that originated in the ancestors treating animals who were part of the nature. The same thing can be said about Native American people and African people. So unless we solve this very base of the manipulative, betrayal, invasive, and murderous temperate, unless we resolve this distorted basis of human civilization, I consider it will be very difficult, next to impossible, just to resolve racial discrimination at the human level. We must change the whole basic tone of our human civilization. As Gabriel Hard, a French sociologist, advocated that lower hierarchy always copy what is happening in a higher hierarchy. It is impossible only to solve smaller part of problems among much larger problem existing at its basis. It is difficult to change only part of it. So the reason I said this is extension of critical race theory lecture is we need to consider much larger critical civilization theory in order to truly solve what the critical race theory indicates. This is all for today. Thank you for watching this topic that nobody else has ever discussed before. But I would very much love to hear what you have to say about my theory of critical civilization theory at the bottom of critical race theory. If you like this kind of deep discussion, please click that red Dr. Smith logo. Wherever you are, my friend, all over the world, during this same short period of time we are sharing today. Okay, thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.